Today's episode is brought to you by Patients Getting Paid, the new course in development by FUMS. I was diagnosed with MS 10 years ago and had to give up my job. My paycheck stopped, but my bills didn't. I needed to find employment that worked with my schedule when I was mentally clear and rested, and that worked around doctor's appointments and hospital infusions. I went looking for a solution, and I actually found several. There are companies looking for our experience as chronic illness patients, and they're willing to pay us to share it with them. There are legitimate work-from-home opportunities out there too, and even recruiters specific to matching us with those legit opportunities. And there are a multitude of opportunities to have our own online businesses. If any of this resonates with you, sign up for the email list and be the first to get more information when the course launches. Sign up now at fumsnow.com/patientsgettingpaid. Welcome to the FUMS Now podcast show, where you'll gain information, inspiration, and motivation for living your best life with multiple sclerosis. Find us online at fumsnow.com. I'm your host, Kathy Reagan-Young. Thanks so much for tuning in to the FUMS podcast show, everybody. It is a gross, dark, rainy day here in Southern Virginia, and I'm glad to have something else to concentrate on, like this great interview. On today's episode, we're talking about an ankle brace to revolutionize ankle braces. If you need one or are currently using something else, you're going to want to listen to this episode. They're having phenomenal results with athletes and patients alike. I'm talking with Dr. Fred Ferlic, who recently retired after practicing medicine for nearly 40 years as a board-certified orthopedic surgeon in South Bend, Indiana. For more than 20 of those years, Dr. Ferlic was also the team doctor for both men's and women's basketball teams at his alma mater, the University of Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. He has since partnered with the inventor of this wonderful new ankle brace, Mike Bean, an athletic trainer for Notre Dame, to help as many athletes, workers, and patients as they can. He's a very nice man and has a genuine desire to help people. Let's go meet him. Thanks so much for being here, Dr. Fred. I really appreciate it. I love the story of how this brace and this company got started. If you wouldn't mind, would you tell everybody a little background on the TayCo Brace and how you got involved?
Certainly, Kathy. Actually, it was invented by a trainer at Notre Dame. He got tired of Lou Holtz and Brian Kelly and the other coaches yelling at him why he could not get the players back on the field with an ankle sprain, because usually what happens is a player comes off, you go from a size 13 to a size 15 shoe, you put an air cast on him, you tape him. Well, that never worked for him. So he invents this brace that fit over the football shoe. And it's the only one that's ever been invented that way. So, and this allows the player to go back in and to run straight ahead, but he can't invert or evert. In other words, his ankle can't roll.
Nice.
And subsequent to that, then Notre Dame asked me, since I just retired from after 40 years of orthopedic surgery,
wow,
what I thought about it. So we contacted the engineers and we went through the whole process and developed this brace, and now we developed it out of Notre Dame, out of its Innovation Park Idea Center, like every university has. And so they have the patent pending, they get the royalty, and basically, and we commercialize it from them. Basically, I'm in it just because I think I can help millions and millions of people. I've not only helped thousands of patients here in the United States, but I did work in Haiti after the earthquake. I've been to Brazil and done work there. And these people need help with ankle problems.
Right.
And so I said to myself, well, this can help millions. And the reason it's going to help millions is because it's the only brace that fits outside the shoe. And what you can do is you can put it over your jogging shoe or over your work boot, and you can go right back to work. And because it does the three functions that we need in 21st century life. You have to be able to shop, drive, and work.
Truth.
And you can't do that with one of those big walkers. And I know that your people have a diagnosis of MS, and so they have great problems with balance.
Yes.
And as you know, the reason they have problems with balance is because of demyelinating disease creates problems with sensory input. so you can't feel your foot or your ankle, and then it also creates weakness in the muscle.
Right.
And so you have a problem with balance. And so I've utilized it on a number of people with MS because they're rolling their ankles. They have a balance problem. Mm-hmm. And what happens is, as you know, is they fall and then they may break a hip or whatever, and then it's a downward spiral. True. So I think we can help millions of people with this brace.
That's fantastic. And as we were talking, of course, we're talking the FUMS audience today, but as you and I were talking before we hit record, there's lots of other people, athletes and others that can be helped, including, we were talking about golfers. So when you
exactly
help millions, it really is a possibility. Now you have 3 types of braces, right? There's athletic, custom, and acute. And so for our purposes, though, it's really the custom brace that we're looking at, right?
Right. There's three what they call verticals. We have an athletic one. We have one for regular patients, like persons with MS, with diabetes, Charcot. By the way, Charcot was a French neurologist and Charcot occurs with diabetics, as you know. Mm-hmm. But he was also the founder of neurology, and he's also the first one to diagnose MS. Mm. So obviously he's a brilliant person. But anyway, so we have 3 verticals. You have the athletic one, you have the one for regular patients like yourself with ankle sprains, mm-hmm. ankle fractures, MS, diabetes, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. And then the third one is the industrial athlete or workman's comp, where you put it over your steel-toed shoe.
Oh, okay.
So, and there's 2 types of braces. We have the acute brace, which you pull off the shelf. So the doctor would have it in his offices, or the O&P or durable medical equipment company that you go to get a brace, mm-hmm. and they would have it. And then we have the custom one, which is custom measured for your shoe or your boot, and that would be more for persons that have a chronic disease that's going to be more than 4 to 6 months, and mm-hmm. MS falls under that category.
Yes, it does. Wish it were only 4 to 6 months.
Exactly.
So, this custom version then is the right one for MS. So this brace, as I understand, is custom measured and manufactured specifically for each patient, right?
Correct. And it's the only brace that you don't have to, a custom brace, AFO, ankle foot orthosis, mm-hmm. that you don't have to cast. Oh. 85% of the people, we just use a smartphone, mm-hmm. and we take some pictures of your shoe and your foot and your ankle, and we send those measurements in. And before the patient leaves the doctor's office or the durable medical equipment company, they send them by text or email or fax, and we have all those measurements, and it takes us 2 or 3 days to manufacture, 2 or 3 days to get back to the patient. So in about a week, you can have your brace.
Wow, but and that's quick.
What's interesting about it is, Kathy, I think it's going to replace 90% of all internal AFOs, ankle foot orthosis, mm-hmm. and those cam walkers. And let me tell you the reason why. I utilized a tremendous number of those internal AFOs, which are those plastic pieces that go around your calf and go around the bottom of your foot.
Yes, and you refer, and it's called internal because it's inside the
shoe.
Shoe, right? Okay.
Right. And so I think that's going to replace those, because my compliance rate on people with diabetes or MS or any disease process you want to name about the ankle was very poor. It was 30 to 35% because they rub on your skin. So if you have any neurological deficit or any vascular deficit, you end up with sores. Sure. And so they become intolerable, so people can't wear them. So that's why I think this will replace 85% of those internal AFOs, those plastic shells. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to replace 85% of all those walkers, those big black walkers you see.
The boots
are 3.5 to 4. Yes, they're 3.5, 4 pounds. Our brace is 16 ounces. And the other thing is there's secondary complications with those boots because they're too high. So they throw your back and hip off. And thirdly, you can't drive with them. And certainly you can't go back to work because factories won't let you go back to work without a steel-toed shoe, a lot of them. And so I think that this is, and the other thing I've noticed, I'm 72, and I've noticed that a person over the age of 70 cannot use one of those boots, because what they do is the doctor gives it to them, and the doctor, unfortunately, doesn't think holistically about a patient. The doctor never says to you, do drive, shop, or work. Right. What he says is you've got an ankle injury. Then he puts you in one of those boots and tells you to come back in 6 weeks. Well, unfortunately, over those 6 weeks, you decondition. Okay, it's like you not exercising over 6 weeks. So the patient comes back, they're deconditioned, they've lost half their strength, and then the doctor says, okay, your ankle's healed, so you go to therapy or come back or whatever, and then they go home and they're so deconditioned when they try to get up, they lose their balance, and then they fall and break their hip.
Right.
So basically what we're creating is, if I can use the analogy for people over 70, by using those boots, we're creating an MS situation where they have a balance problem because of their loss of their sensory input and the loss of muscle tone. So if we can get physicians to think holistically about the patient and the functionality, it's all about function, as you know. If you can function, you can do things in life, but you can't function in some of these devices we've used.
Right. So you hit on a lot there. Let me unpack a little bit. This is obviously considered a medical device, right? So,
correct.
So you're working with your doctor for this. And does your doctor then take the measurements, or who does the measurements?
Yeah, okay. If you have a custom one, which we're talking about for MS, yes, your doctor can do, the orthopedic surgeon and the podiatrist can do it, or he can send you to your brace shop. Your brace shop people know how to do all this also. And it's covered by all the insurances.
Oh, that was my next question.
Medicare.
That's huge.
Yep, Medicare, Medicaid, Humana, Aetna, etc. So they all cover it. And then the doctor just has to document it, say why you need it, obviously. But it's actually, Kathy, it's going to change the quality of life and the functionality of millions of patients. What are there? 2.3 million people in this country that have MS right now?
Well, identified. 2.5 million in the world, which I don't agree with that, but that's the claim. I think it's a lot more than that, but 400,000.
Certainly it is.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds fantastic. So if someone were interested in the TayCo Brace, where do they start? I mean, do they talk to their neurologist? Do they start at your website? Where do they go?
Well, I would start on the website just so they can educate themselves, because there's nothing more important than an informed patient. And you know that as a MS advocate, unless you advocate for yourself or for your other person, it just doesn't work out. Doctors are just too busy, as they say. You know what I mean? Then take that to your neurologist and say, hey, what I have now, I'm losing my balance. I'm falling. I'm just having a great deal of trouble. And I want to be able to wear a jogging shoe, or I want to be able to wear a work boot if I'm a farmer.
Yeah.
And then the doctor the neurologists usually don't prescribe, they don't usually measure braces. They're very, very cerebral, as you know, so they're not hands-on.
Right.
And so in all actuality, and my neurology friends tell me this too, they don't know a lot about braces. What they do is they just give you, they just say, well, why don't you go to the brace company and I'll write you a prescription for an ankle brace. Well, so they're not trained in that. They're brilliant physicians as far as the brain is concerned, but they know nothing about bracing like physical therapists. So I think what you do is you take it to them, and then they'll send it to a brace company, and they know all about it. And and I've had several hundreds of brace companies call me about this, and we've only been out a year, so they know how to measure it.
But you do need a prescription from your doctor, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So
and it's all covered with these things they call L codes, but that the doctor knows that.
codes. So they should start at TayCoBrace.com, which is TAYCO Brace.com, which that reminds me, I meant to ask you this earlier. Can you please tell the story of the name of the company? Because it's pretty cute.
Oh yeah, this is great. The founder, the guy who invented this, the trainer at Notre Dame, and by the way, we use it on 350-pound linemen, and if they can use it, obviously an MS patient can use it. We have it in over 40 NCAA Division I teams: Notre Dame, Alabama, USC, North Carolina. So whoever your favorite team is, they're going to be using it, and they're going to start using it prophylactically. At Kansas State now, they're using it on just like you use a knee brace during practice on all the linemen. They're going to start using it to prevent ankle injuries during the practice Monday through Friday. But so anyway, so basically that's the way it works. If that answers your question.
He started it, and why did he name it TayCo?
Right. Okay. What happened was we're sitting around we're trying to decide what the name of it's going to be. And I think somebody asked, well, how many kids you got, Mike? And he said, I got 2. And I said, well, what's their names? And he said, well, Taylor and Colleen. And somebody all of a sudden perked up and said, let's call it TayCo. So,
perfect.
So it came after his 2 daughters. So it is a perfect name.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more proud to be. And here's a guy that's a trainer that's not won the Nobel Prize, obviously, as a trainer, but he thought out of the box. And I was an orthopedic surgeon for 40 years, and I have to admit, I wasn't as smart as he was about bracing. And so, no, seriously, sure. I'm just a dumb doctor compared to this brilliant trainer as far as bracing is concerned.
Yeah, well, that's great. And I love the name of his company. I just want to let everybody know that there are a number of testimonial videos on the website from both doctors and patients. And I will link to the website in the show notes. So if you're driving somewhere listening to this or whatever, don't run off the road trying to write this down. I take all the notes for you. They'll be there on FUMSnow.com/podcast. So, Dr. Fred, I so appreciate you being here with me today, and I thank you for providing one of the braces to an FUMS community member to try out. She's promised to let me know her thoughts and experience with the TayCo Brace, and I'll certainly share all of that information both on FUMSnow.com website and the FUMS Facebook page, so keep an eye out for that. But thank you all for providing that to her. I think that's phenomenal, and I look forward to hearing her experience. I believe she has drop foot, so that was my other question.
Right. Well,
going to work for that.
This works for partial. It works for the 40 most diagnosed ankle problems there are. Now, it works for partial drop foot, not complete drop foot.
Okay.
You have to have a very specialized brace for complete. But basically what you want to focus on, I think, with MS, I have a number of patients with MS, but also Guillain-Barré as they're recuperating. They use this brace and they do well with it. So you want to focus on balance,
right,
and the motor deficit and the sensory deficit. Mm-hmm. So that's, it's going to help millions of people. And I couldn't, I'm along for the ride really, because I'm retired, but I really am a man on the mission that I think that I helped thousands of patients, obviously, during my 40 years of orthopedic surgery, but I'm going to help millions of patients this way.
That's phenomenal. Now, if people want more information on the brace or TayCo as a company, or if they have questions for you, where should they go?
Actually, they can just go to the website, but if they really have questions, I have my own personal phone, my cell number, and I don't mind phone calls. I get phone calls day and night about this, and I was up half my life and during the middle of the night doing surgery. So actually, if the doctor wants to call me, just have them call me at 574-286-2273. Or if the brace company, has a problem, but everything's on the website. But if the doctor or the brace company says, well, I don't quite understand this, have them give me a call.
That's very generous of you. And the website again is TayCoBrace.com, TayCo Brace.com. And again, that's all in the show notes. No worries. But thanks again, Dr. Fred. I really appreciate this. This is a great product that I think could really help a lot of people, as you said, millions of people, but certainly a lot of people right here in the FUMS community. So, Dr. Fred, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Kathy, so much. I thank you so much. You have a great day, okay?
You do the same. Thanks. Thanks Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you listening to the FUMS podcast show. Be sure to subscribe to it so you won't miss an episode. You can do that right on the website at FUMSnow.com. While you're there, sign up for the free email list so you'll be among the first to know of any new findings in MS research, new therapies and products, as well as any blog posts and podcast episodes I release. Want to chat with others in the FUMS community? Join us on Facebook at FUMS Now. Thanks again, and don't forget to talk to the stupid disease as it deserves. Tell it FUMS every day.